Welcome to the next video segment for the Sage Intacct Construction Inventory Configuration and Workflow series. Today's session, we're going to be focusing specifically on a workflow process involving the inventory module directly. And we're going to be discussing issuing inventory items that are already in stock to projects and returning those items from a project if they were not used. So let's dive right in. So I'm going to go over and pull up the Intacct desktop. And we just want to take a quick review. What we need to do is make sure, again, that we discussed in prior sessions, that our transaction definitions for inventory, especially for this workflow, are ready to go. So what we're going to be focusing on are two here. One in this shipping section called Issue to Job, and another one in the transfer section called Job Returns. And I've starred them both here, so I can easily get to them right from here. So these are the two we're going to be focusing on today. And what we want to do is just take a quick look in the setup of those transaction definitions and make sure they're good to go. So if I go back into my transaction definitions, and you'll notice here I have two definitions set up, one called Issue to Jobs and one called Job Return. And there is a workflow attached so I can actually convert an issue into a job return. So if I go in and click Edit, just going to review this. Basically, same setup as before. We are going to give it a unique numbering ID so that we can track our issue numbers. And then again, what do we want to happen to inventory when we post this transaction? We're issuing it to a project. We want to reduce the on hand by quantity and value. So we're going to subtract it out of the inventory on hand. And we are going to post. We do want to post that general ledger entry. And we'll go over to the general ledger setup next and see where. This is going to be an initial document, so we're not going to create this. You might have another transaction definition, maybe inventory request, where somebody or project manager can go in and log in a request, and then someone can convert that request into an issue. So that's a good use for conversion there that you might want to use. When you're done converting this transaction, we want to close it and start a new issue if needed. And typically we're not going to need any documents printed out for this. What we do need to do is make sure over in posting configuration, just like in the prior sessions, that we're going to the right general ledger. So in this case, our inventory items are all coded to the material GL group. So I just need to set up that one. And when we issue to a project, we want to debit whatever our construction cost of sales or WIP account is. In this case, I have cost of sales material. And we want to reduce our inventory on hand in the general ledger. So you're going to do this as well. And this is where if you had multiple warehouses and multiple inventory accounts per warehouse, you can also link the warehouse to this definition as well. Security set up good. And we don't have anything specific for each entity, but you could. So it looks like we're good to go here. So let's go ahead and go right into our entity. So we're going to be working in the Timberline General Construction here. So I want to make sure I enter these transactions at the entity level. Once that opens up, I'm going to go over in this case just to my favorites, and I'm going to say Issue to Job. So I can see my existing ones by clicking on the name of the Issue to Job, and I'll see a list of issues. Or I can hit the plus button and create a new one from scratch. So I'm going to create this from scratch. There's no existing transactions. You can link to one if you wanted to. But we're going to say, all right, as of 12/11, you can attach a reference number. You can attach a message. You can also attach a document to this as well. And just like before, you want to make sure you have your column set up in your entry screens. We are issuing to a project, so we want to make sure we have our project cost code cost types on there as well. And again, just a reminder, that's going to be in the edit entries layout where you can manipulate that column layout for you. So in this case, what item do I want to issue to a project? And let's go ahead and say we're going to issue some lumber. So we're going to issue some 2x4s that we have in stock. What warehouse? Now, one of the things you can do, if you click on Show Details, you should see a couple links here that you can click on. You can say Available Quantities. So if you wanted to see what was on hand here, you could click on Available Quantities. It'll open up another tab here and it'll show you, hey, here's what you have in the GC warehouse. We have 3,000 on hand. and we don't have anything in the residential warehouse. So that's a nice little feature. You can click on here when you're done, hide details. You can also get to it from your item itself. If you click on the item list and you click view, once you select your item, you'll be able to go right into the item and you can see here what's available. And I believe under inquiry here, nope, I'm sorry, that's what's on hold. I believe, maybe I'm incorrect. Yeah, you would have to see what warehouse it's in. There it is. I knew it was somewhere. So in the general tab, if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a warehouse section where you can also see what's on hand and available here as well. So you can do it either way. So we have enough. We're going to issue to a particular project. So let's go ahead and issue to the San Antonio Fullerton Warehouse project. Oops, sorry about that. Tab there. And what cost code is this going to? I don't know if I have a, yep, I do have a woods and plastic one. So let's just say it's fasteners. And what's the cost type? We're going to material. So here I can come in and say, all right, I want to grab 100 of these. And then based on your inventory valuation method, the unit cost will pop up depending on what type of method you're on. And then you could put a memo if you want here as well. So we're going to issue 100. Let's issue 199 just so we can see a big difference in the on hand. So once we do that, just like before, you have a posting option, you have an approval option for this, however you choose to set it up. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click post, and that is going to trigger our cost entry into the project. You'll see here, here's my issue, numbering it, and you'll see it's on pending because basically it hasn't been converted to anything yet, which is good. We don't want to convert it to anything. But I can go back into this. I can click view. And right from here, I can see posting details. So you can see here's my general ledger entry. It's debiting cost of sales and it's crediting inventory. If you click on the journal, you'll get a further breakdown showing that as far as the general ledger went, it posted to this job into cost of sales. And we're going to be able to get a cost report showing this cost in there as well. So that is successfully issued this cost to a project and transferred it out of inventory. And that's really all you have to do on that side. Now, maybe the project's completed and there was 10 of them we didn't use. Somebody can, if they want to, go back in. And if you have this definition set up, I can go into transfers, click on job returns, and I can add one and do it directly if I want to. But what you can also do is go back into the original issue and convert it back. So let me show you that. And again, I like to use the favorites, especially if I have a lot of inventory items set up. So instead of clicking on job returns, I can actually click on issue to job, my list here, and I could find the issue. And you can also have some other filters in here where you can see which job it was for. But I'm going to click convert here, and I'm going to convert it into a job return. And so when I do that, depending on your configuration, the system will convert it at 100%. So see how it's pre-filling 199, or it can convert it at 0, and then you can actually key in what. And that's in your configuration settings in your modules where you can check that box. So we're just going to say, you know what, we want to return 10 items. So I'm going to say 10 here, I'm going to return it. You could edit the cost at this point. Maybe if there was some delivery costs or something like that, you want to update the cost back into it at a different rate. Maybe a message or a reference number, did not use, something like that. Same posting and approval settings take effect. I'm going to go ahead and hit post. And in that scenario, now that's a closed transaction. And if I go ahead and hit view here, now you'll see there's my entry. If I go to posting details, now we're actually debiting inventory, putting it back into inventory and crediting cost of sales. And that will in turn credit the project for cost of sales. Okay, so it's really quite simple once you set that up and get all your posting GL accounts and your GL mappings and your items created. You should be able to flow a job issue and a job return pretty easily through the system. And that's going to conclude our session for workflow for job issues and job returns. Then we'll look forward to seeing you in the next session. Thank you.